All right. All right, all right, all right. Hello. If you are watching this, well, welcome. Thank you. And hopefully, um, you're interested in what 10-hour Ember Knights run looks like. Well, not quite 10 hours. You can see in the top right. 9.5. Don't mind the stats up here, by the way. I turned them on accident and don't know how to turn them off, but I don't care enough. But yeah, this is that endless mode for 9.5 hours, and by the end of this, probably pretty close to 10. This run, that is, this specific run. Um, uh, so, a little backstory. Um, I never actually intended to to embark on on a journey to well, a several hour continuous endless run. Um, it was actually an accident um, wherein I just happened to get a run where I hit a very strong combo and decided to use that opportunity to just see how far I could go with it. Because you know, it's I was just curious. I've played a lot of Hades, which is a game that Ember Knights takes a lot of inspiration from, takes a lot of cues from, and you know, it's really cool the idea of being able to do kind of an endless run and see how far your build can take you. But yeah, it just so happened this build started out um, as a hammer spellcast um, synergy build using the hammer AOE for spell refresh, just get a lot of hits, and just getting as much spell synergy as possible, lots of refresh, um, lots of spell damage to just and my favored skill combo of Knight's Charge Rupture, just to crush large groups of enemies into a corner and just hit them with a perfect high damage rupture, and then just using hammer AoE to refresh. But things got kind of crazy when I hit the I don't remember where it is, but the relic. Where is it? It's somewhere here. I feel like it was earlier than this. I'm not gonna lie. Ah, here it is. Barrier pendant. Yep. Barrier pendant. This thing. Um, there's a lot of spell synergy in the start up here. Um, but basically, being able to I had the bones of a build that basically allows you to um, loop skill casts just with lots of synergies. Uh, spell crit, refresh on crit, and also just like getting a bunch of armor on stuff. And Surge Pendant for big damage. Just lots of things that allows you to just one-shot things with skills and consistently refresh them. Steward's Toolbox, huge for that, for being able to loop, because you have twice as many charges, and then Overcharge Gauntlet. Um, with spell crit, also huge, especially once you hit 100% crit. Um, but Barrier Pendant is actually really the skill that brought it all together, because I got that, and well, it just gives you a shield that prevents an instance of damage, and with enough spell refresh, um, you can basically have 100% uptime on it, and uh, just continuously loop spellcasts, and basically have a permanent shield that makes you effectively immortal, as long as you have stuff to hit, keep casting. Um, and I basically just decided, hey, that's a really strong combo. How far can I go? Um, because you know, if I just keep going in endless mode, um, how far can this take me? Because I'd actually only really done one endless mode run, and it was neat. But I didn't know how far I could stretch it, so I felt like this was a good opportunity. Answer, as it turns out, is really far, because there's a certain point, um, where you just hit enough momentum, kind of critical mass. Barrier Pendant was kind of the key, and you can just keep getting relics until you have, not technically all of them. There's still some that are locked behind secrets that I don't have unlocked, but every one that I have access to, which is almost all of them. And as it turns out, when you have all of the relics, that's a really good build. Max level and everything. Every relic, so every possible synergy. Um, and yeah, this has been going on for a while. I have 256 levels in the Steward's Gift, because, you know, I've gotten 256, actually more than 256. At one point, I used Steward's Gift on an ooze room to see what happened, and it turns out it resets the level, after giving you something else. So these days I use Frost Needle because it doesn't really do anything anymore, um, as a sacrificial. But yeah, you can see my stats at the top, are absurdly high, because as it turns out, my biggest concern with my build, um, is like that with my build is basically not being able to have uptime. Um, oh, right, I used it without hitting something. I hit Night's Charge, nothing happened. Um, and so you know what? I'll get back to that. But as it turns out, you can, if you go on long enough, you do just kind of get enough synergies, and enough stuff that you can just keep going and keep getting stats, and because the stats stale infinitely, they just don't stop. And you'd think like, hey, maybe if you keep doing endless runs, it's going to scale, such that the enemies outpace you, um, and eventually you kind of hit a soft wall. As it turns out, not really the case. The scaling on enemies, while it is substantial, is not nearly exponential enough to keep up with player scaling. As you can see by the rather absurd stat numbers I have going, you can get these numbers absurd. Like, I have enough agility; it's actually legitimately difficult for me um, to control the character a lot of the time. But yeah, like I managed with the nature of the build, and the kind of looping and vulnerability. The only things that could really stop my run are basically either, like, I have to mess up. I have to break the loop somehow by being lazy or misplaying, which is, with how easy it is to execute on the Knight's Charge Rupture combo most times, not that difficult. But really, it's just like, if the enemy's damage scales enough, and I take a few scary hits, enough that it gets through my through my armor, you know, that can stack up, that can kill me. But so I made it a priority very quickly to try and get sources of healing. And luckily, this was not a, you know, not intended to be like a difficult run. So I still have boss healing on, which is huge. So after every boss, I do fully heal. But my kit also has a bunch of healing. Like every time I do anything, basically I heal. The numbers are really low relative to my health pool at this point, because these healing numbers were tuned for, you know, base 100 health. But still, it's you know, it's very consistent. So that kind of deals with the chip damage problem of like taking occasional damage and having that stack up. Because and you know, it doesn't really matter what kind of hits I'm taking, because Barrier Pendant just protects against instances of damage. It doesn't matter how much damage that is. So it's not like it can get overflowed like armor can. So yeah, really the only thing that could stop me at that point is just getting one shot, or like two shot if I'm not paying attention enough and don't react to a threat. So getting one shot's really the only real risk. But well, by stacking armor, by prioritizing health as a stat, sorry, not stacking armor, by prioritizing health as a stat and just stacking health as much as I can prevent that. I can mitigate that. And as it turns out, that works. Enemy damage, you know, is pretty scary at this point. Like, you know, I've seen incoming damage numbers of like 1.6k, but I have over 8,000 HP, so 1.6k is a chunk, but it's still less than 10% of my health. Not less than 10%. I can't do math. It's still not that much of my health, like in terms of getting one shot. And generally, because I have so much damage as well, because that's my second priority, is just, you know, flat damage, so one-shot things. There aren't that many opportunities for me to take damage. Most things don't get the time. I mean, at this point, you've been watching this, you've seen that even bosses, I can one round most bosses before they even trigger their invuln phase. With the exceptions being Dreadlord Mac and Praxis, who have unskippable invuln phases. They just automatically go into invuln when they hit 1/3. But most bosses I can actually just kill, like in one, as long as I continue doing my rotation. They just die very quickly. So there's really not that many attacks that can hit me enough times in a short enough window of time to actually get through my entire health bar, because they'll have to hit me like 5 times, and as long as I'm casting, I'm probably not gonna get hit 5 times in a row. That requires me to basically stand still and let them hit me. Yeah, as it turns out, if you just keep stacking your stats, you can in fact just keep going for 9.5 hours. And the obvious thing here is that most people, reasonably, aren't going to keep a run going for 9.5 hours, because Ember Knights, infamously, does not allow you to save runs. You technically have to complete runs in one session, because you can't save and quit. You can't leave and come back, which I think is a... I understand why, because Ember Knights is a multiplayer game, and that it makes things weird if you allow for save and quit in a multiplayer session. There are ways around that, but I understand. But it does make it really hard to do a thing like this, and it's also just kind of inconvenient. But it makes it difficult for you to really persist a run this long, because, you know, doing effectively one session is hard. But my secret, and the entire reason I actually continued this beyond the first several runs is that I happen to be playing on my Steam Deck. It's a very good Steam Deck game. Um, and well, as it turns out, if you are willing to do so, you can just leave a run active on your Steam Deck by just pausing, um, and, uh, and then letting the Steam Deck sleep. This and you can just keep it active forever. This of course does mean you can't use the Steam Deck for anything else. I haven't updated this thing in months, but I once a week I come back and I play a few hours, and that is how I've managed to maintain a run for this long, is by just leaving it on my Steam Deck for and turning on my Steam Deck. And part of the reason I'm even making this video in the first place is because I have decided that this is the last night that I'm doing that. It's about time. I've reached some funny numbers that I wanted to hit. Like I broke 10,000% spell damage. I'm approaching the 10-hour mark for this run. So that's more or less my thought process. Is I'm starting to hit numbers that are just ridiculous. 10,000 or yeah, 10,000 like weapon damage would be neat, but I think that would take long enough, and I want to stick to my my decision-making heuristics of my priority list for stats. I don't want to make it artificial. That I think I'm ready to be done with it. So hypothetically, because the scaling on this game is not exponential enough to stop me, I could, if I wanted to, decide to keep this going, as far as I can tell, basically forever. Because I'm dealing 30k to these things, and they deal me 1.5k back. So my numbers are much larger than theirs. And I want some posterity. I want something preserved that can be like, yeah, this is a thing you can do. This is how far you can go if you're really willing to push things. And I've never done this before, so it's scuffed. Sorry about that. Just literally just me talking over the game as I play. But yeah, I hope it's cool. I hope it's an interesting thing and an example of how you can kind of break the game almost. Maybe commentary on the internal balance, since it's interesting that the game doesn't scale to soft cap, like that it does kind of make me wonder, like, the devs, did they think anyone would actually do this? And if so, what do they think? What do they think of someone actually, committing to this and going to this extent? Did they consider this as a possibility? I don't know. It'd be cool to know. And if this somehow makes it to them, maybe I'll send it over. Who knows? If I can figure out how to do that. See if I can ping somebody and see what they think. That'd be awesome. And also, hi, thanks for making this game. It's really cool. Um, but yeah, at this point, um, I'm, that's I've said basically all there is to say. At the end, I will, do a final scroll through all my stats before I hit Praxis, and show off all the scroll through all the relics and stuff and see what my final count is for the Steward's Gifts. Fun fact, I actually still don't know what Steward's Gifts do, or if anything, because this is the first run I've ever done where I was seeing them drop, because obviously if I'd only done one endless run before then, I didn't get far enough to get all the relics. So, I still have no idea if those even do anything when you get back, or if they're just there. So I'm looking forward to finding out. I will not be including that in this. I think it's a fun mystery for people to maybe find out on their own, or investigate. If it's not already, common knowledge. I couldn't find anything when I looked. I didn't see anything on the wiki, and a quick Google search of potential sites of knowledge didn't turn up anything in cursory research. But I didn't. It wasn't exactly exhaustive research, so I don't know for sure. But yeah, it'll be a fun thing to find out. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say. Honestly, I kind of expected that I would run out of things to say a lot earlier in the run, but I guess it goes to show how fast I'm going. It is only like 2 minutes per zone, so it's like 10 minutes per run. But yeah, that's about it. I think at this point I'm just gonna play and finish the run off, and I'll check back in when I get to Praxis. All right, that was pretty quick, huh? So we're here, and we've got our final count of stuff. 8,739 HP, 9,641 base damage, 11,798 skill damage, 418% crit, and 1404% speed. And of course, every relic that I have access to at the maximum possible level for each relic. Which, basically means I don't have to have a build so much as the kitchen sink. Not that some of this stuff ever really gets a chance to do much. The dots don't do a whole lot when things die very quickly. But it's nice to have. The lightning storm effects are actually very handy as a chip damage for when I don't burst stuff. And there's some things that are nice to have. Frozen is also quite handy. Um, just as a thing to just be like, hey, you're not allowed to do anything while I finish killing everything. But yeah, uh, lots of sources of everything. Crit stealing double damage does a lot. 264 storage gifts acquired, closer to 300 if I include the ones that I tossed into the use. So, yeah. Oh, right. Also, 137,536 Ember acquired, uh, which means I really shouldn't ever run out. I already have, you know, all the stuff unlocked from the tree, but let's just say I have basically infinite currency for the shop. Um, doing some critting praxis for absurd amounts of damage. Also, fun fact, you move so fast in this section, I have to move like purposely slowly so I don't get myself stuck on the outside of the sides of the bridge. I've gotten myself stuck there. Luckily, Knight's Charge can get me out. If I didn't have Knight's Charge, I'd actually might have been in trouble and gotten like permanently stuck. So that would have been unfortunate. More of an ignominious end, but that's it. That's it's a over 9.5 hour endless run, closer to 10. I hope this was a neat thing, and that you found it interesting. Thanks for watching, and yeah.